15 years ago, after World War II, the United States had become a global superpower, and they began to build cars for growing families, for baby boomers with children, and Americans that were obsessed with muscle cars. So the Beetle was one of those cars that was unfortunately made in the and designed in a Nazi Germany factory during World War II. So they're faced a huge problem on how to sell the Volkswagen Beetle, which was smaller, not very attractive, and it was perceived that it would be very difficult to sell this product because of its history. So in the early 1940s and 50s, car advertisements were pretty bland. They looked just like this. They were more rooted in fantasy than reality, and they weren't really focused on persuading the reader to purchase the product, but more so to inform them. So that's when Volkswagen came with this innovation to incorporate two different things: copyright, which is in essence the text, and then the design itself. So merging art and copy is the baseline of what we're going to talk about today. And in using the Volkswagen Beetle iconic uh, advertisements you see here, which was produced in 1959 by Doyle Dane Burbank Agency. This ad is very iconic in the sense that it was one of the first to use a very specific design, very simple, but incorporate the creative process beyond what we were seeing before this advertisement. So, how does creativity enhance advertising? Well, let's take a look at the process. Here's a quick ad from Apple, which incorporates several of the elements we'll be discussing, specifically how advertising from a creative standpoint still does help to inform the public to keep them coming back for the same product.
I've browsed 8 sites for divorce attorneys today.
I browsed 8 sites for divorce attorneys today.
My login for everything is Pauline at paulinefoo.com.
I love working with you.
Me too.
Red heart emoji.
Pink heart emoji.
Yellow heart emoji.
Blue heart emoji.
I hate Lee though.
Puke emoji.
Puke emoji.
I am currently reading an article titled 10 Ways to Keep Sweaty Hands from Holding You Back.
My home is in 1,000 feet.
My heart rate is currently 150, 151, 152, and back down to 150.
On March 15th at 9:16 a.m., I purchased prenatal vitamins and 4 pregnancy tests.
The number on my credit card is 0237 1221 0725
All right, classic ad there. And this is a very recent one that helps us to remind us that creativity can bring about a reminder. Imagine Apple using the same exact invitation to customers to buy their iPhone over and over again. Now that we have ventured into several years of the same exact product, and still it becomes one of those products that people wait for, they stand in line for, and it gets sold. So that is the impact that creativity has, and just emphasizing the techniques that are used here this time in reference to the slogan that it's now created, and the cringe-worthiness of each of those statements in that commercial brings about several different techniques that are all used in conjunction with one another to emphasize that creativity is extremely important and is what keeps us coming back to that product. And in an effort to also bring about a new message and a new focus of privacy. And that's one of the reasons why I believe Apple has been so successful over Android. So moving into the other creative aspects to this is not just considering that you have a slogan with a logo tied together. It really starts to develop into the strategy of the brand and what the personality of the brand should be. So if we consider the creative process, the creative department within an ad agency, the creatives make up about 2 to 3 different types of roles within the department. Regardless of its specialty, you have copywriters, which are the individuals that are working for a client that are within the agency thinking, man, what is the personality? How can we bring this to life? So the copywriter is the person that is going to create those words, those slogans, the concept for the ads, like the privacy, piece to the Apple ad that you just saw. That is all copyright. And so what they're really diving into is figuring out how do we best communicate the personality of the brand and where they want to go, but also turning your attention to the advertisement, the product itself, by creating that very sharp, very witty, and sometimes humorous slogan that they want to come across and indicate. So the art director is the person that determines how the ads, verbal and visual symbols will sort of fit together. So what logo, what slogan, and how that all comes together via a print vehicle, or if it's a visual commercial, a motion picture commercial, or if it's a billboard or any other form of medium that they would like to utilize in order to move this advertising campaign forward. So the art director is in charge of the aesthetics, the end product for all the different ways that they're going to deliver this new message. Then you've got the creative director. So this usually is the person in charge of the team itself, the copywriters, the artists, who ultimately are responsible for the form that the ad takes in the final form. So I don't want to underscore the artist aspect to this, the graphic designers, the people that are really working with color coordination and so forth. Those are all also very important as well. Moving on, great ads have certain things in common, and those in particular would be that they resonate and they have some form of strategic relevance with the time that this ad is being delivered. Often you look at the Apple as a case study. They're usually going to provide you with some ad that is going to speak to the times, especially the concerns that the American consumer has relative to privacy, in this case for the new advertising campaign. And that is essentially being their focus and their niche audience to try to target those that they need to come back and buy this new phone because it's going to add more privacy rights to your experience and provide you what you need in regards to your own privacy. So strategic relevance and resonance is also important. Resonance also has to do with your recognition, your quick recognition of a brand. And so sometimes the repetition technique is important, especially in these print ads or these commercials you see with Flow, which has, had a successful run for quite a while. And so sometimes it requires the agency to continue to utilize Flow for Progressive in this case, because imagine if there was 10 different flows for 10 different, commercials for the same year, it wouldn't stick. So repetition is also key in looking at how this ad changes over time, but eventually it kind of stays the same. Like Flow has a different joke here and there, but it's typically the same running format. And you can see that the progressive has a rhythm. They have a way in which to let the advertisement resonate better with folks through their techniques of repetition in this case. Also the use of animals. This is the competitors within the insurance industry. So obviously, just by looking at this lizard, you know exactly which company this is referring to, because the visual has stuck. It has become the sort of logo, if you will, and sort of a play on words for Geico. So this creativeness does serve as a reminder for the brand itself. And then, of course, the Liberty Mutual campaign recently has always used the same background here, in reference to, the Statue of Liberty and playing off of their brand name. So it becomes a point where the creativeness is, taken into consideration and not taken for granted, because only the creativity can transform your boring reminders for something like life insurance or car insurance into something interesting and entertaining, which is what these advertisements do. So the creative team brings the brand's personality to life. That's the thing that they're always asking in the creative department, right? Is how do we bring this to life? Well, how do we emphasize their personality? So creativity enhances advertising by putting two unconnected objects or ideas into something new. That's the baseline idea of creativeness behind these advertisements. And within this industry, this is what they're looking to do. And creativity helps to inform the it helps to inform the consumer, yes, but it also helps to persuade. Creativity helps to persuade by providing a storyline, a persona, establishing a unique identity, a brand identity for the product in this sort of collective mindset. And it's a big factor moving forward for helping a product beat the competition. To be persuasive, an ad's visual message, a verbal message, must be reinforced by the creative use of a nonverbal message element. So, for example, the lizard, right? The other 2 points here to mention would be that creativity helps advertising remind you, and it puts the boom in advertising. It doesn't always have to be funny. It may come as a cringeworthy thing. It may be something that tugs at your heart, say like a traditional Hallmark ad, or something, something that is using the sensitivity technique to arouse your emotions. In short, the boom factor may come from many sources, but it's always requiring the creative team to think of these things. So some examples here would be that creativity sparks that idea of using this sort of metaphor to establish the brand's identity, and to think about this from a real world perspective. The want to get away is informative, but it's also persuasive at the same time. Something as small as the packaging and the color of the packaging, and how that is associated with the product. The colors become really important to the point where Reese's has this visual identification by using this particular color of orange. It's so important to them, as you can notice here on the bottom left, that Hershey's has actually trademarked its orange background. So that's how important that piece is, the creative aspect of the color code, and making sure that it is a standout, not just any old orange. It's the Reese's orange now. So, and it's also embedded into these department store ads, as you can see with Target, who really the communication here, their goal is to communicate that, when you come into the store, it's going to be a quality experience. It's going to be easy to find something. It's going to be organized. It's also going to be, quite classy in a sense. That's kind of the brand personality that Target has communicated across its campaigns. And you can see a lot of these examples in your textbook for this chapter 8. In short, and recapping back, the Volkswagen campaign for their Beetle has been very successful, to the point where they've used this Think Small campaign for many years, and have changed a lot of the copy on the bottom here to still be rather very simple, and provide that creative photo, or that iconic just simple picture with the Think Small. And it's been quite effective, to the point where it changed the advertising business, especially in the automobile business, to avoid all the text, and then just simply to provide more of a visual aspect to the consumer, and that has worked out for them. So that's the creative process, and how it is effective, and how it is valued in the advertising world. And I hope you enjoyed this one.